And welcome back to Midnight Mayhem. I'm your host. I'm Bobby, and I love horror.
I'm Leo, and I love movies.
And I'm Raymond, the other guy.
And so today we're going to be talking about remake versus original. And the movie we have selected based on our last debate about this is going to be Hellraiser. We just watched the, 2022? That was
2022.
Goodness.
Yeah.
November last year.
Everything, time doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter.
But we rewatched it. We spectated. Raymond said it was complete garbage, hot garbage. He's taken more better poops with better composition than that movie was. And then I debated it, and then I was like, well, I hope you enjoy the original. So we went ahead and made him watch it, and so we also are going to hear his feedback today. Leo gave it like a horrible rating last time. I think it was like a 4 or 5.
No. Wait, the original?
The original.
I
was
like
like,
he said the.
I'll pull up the records. Get the receipts.
The new one he gave an 8. The old one he said he gave a 7.
A 7, yeah.
No.
That's before he rewatched.
He gave it like a 4, dude.
No.
It was literally 1 point off.
All right, well, my memory's bad, but I'm pretty sure it was
Point
a 4.
being, I said that the new one was better than the old one.
And you were wrong.
That was wrong.
Yeah.
That was wrong.
So we're gonna hop into that today. I like I said the last time, I rated the original at a 9 out of 10. As the lowest I'd probably go is like an 8.5 out of 10. After rewatching it, I can admit to an 8.5 because it's a fantastic movie. Practical effects are amazing. Storyline was kind of like, okay, I know it was kind of a love triangle, but not really. It was more like I don't know how to explain it.
What did you say?
What would you call
a
it?
cuck?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
It was more like there are other movies like that where it's like
Women ruin relationships.
No.
no.
Canceled.
That's what I got out of that movie.
But I don't know. So we're gonna just hop right into it. So if you hear any spoilers, it's gonna be on here and onwards. So we strongly recommend you watch the original, make your own opinion. I always recommend you do that, or don't. That's up to you. It's you're a person. Make your own decisions.
So let's talk about the little summary of the movie.
Little summary of the original.
Oh, the original one. Yeah.
Original. Guy
named Frank.
Yeah.
Gets the.
He picks up an interesting hobby.
My man wants pleasure in all forms.
He picks up the
Lament cube.
The Lament Configuration.
the
puzzle cube. The puzzle
He
cube.
picks up the leprechaun.
He buys it from a merchant somewhere.
Yeah, it doesn't
somewhere.
matter where.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He buys it somewhere. Takes it back to his place. Solves it, thinking it's like a genie in a bottle. And then the Cenobites come out and they kill him. And that's
No, I don't remember the Cenobites coming out. I'm pretty sure.
It was just the hooks they
He messes
show.
with it,
Just
and then
hooks?
he gets hooks, and that's the cold open.
They were keeping us a nice cold reveal later,
right. Okay.
But yeah, I would say they technically appeared, but not really.
Yeah,
not in the movie. And then after that, his brother takes over the.
What's his brother's name again? Jerry? No, Larry.
Now I'm thinking it's Jerry because of Rick and Morty. That totally seems like a Jerry,
No,
doesn't it?
hold on. No, it's Larry. It's Larry.
Larry.
It's Larry. Yeah.
Yeah, that was sad. He was just trying to be a good husband, and his wife was not having it. His wife's name was
Julia. Was it?
I don't know. You gotta look at your notes.
Let me. Hold on. Julia.
Yeah, and she I don't know. She was kind of like the Mother Voorhees in this. She was just like the one committing all the acts. It was reminiscent. I loved it. Of that same like slasher genre. But basically, she's hot for Frank and.
Hold on, but explain this. So Larry and Julia is Larry's second wife. They move into the house where Frank used to live, and
well, that was like those are his parents, right? And he's like, oh yeah, like nobody's used this house for like years, and I haven't even seen my brother in like so many years. And then they're like, oh, I guess he used to stay here because all his stuff is here.
Used to, yeah.
He had like a little
practical
crack den.
businessman trying to save finances. That's all I understood when I was watching that.
And then they
he got his little crack den, so it was like he must have been here. Like the bonfire's still warm.
And they explain that Frank and Julia had an affair. They just quickly go over that. They had an affair. What happens next? Okay. So while remodeling the house, Jerry cuts his hand on a nail. The blood. Julia's in the attic. He goes to show Julia, hey, look, I cut my hand. The blood leaks into the floor where Frank died. And, like, the little piece that's left of him under the cupboards it just starts reviving him for some reason.
I'm gonna be pedantic. He was moving a mattress upstairs, so that's how he cut his hand on a nail.
Yeah, he moved a mattress and there's like a loose nail. I don't think that was important to bring up.
I don't know why it bugged me so much. I felt like someone in our audience is gonna be like, "No, man,
actually, it
wasn't
mattress.
remodeling." It kind of is, but all right.
Remodeling the mattress.
So then Blood revitalized Frank, and he's like, he's a little gremlin thing. Love it.
Yeah,
love that little.
His first appearance is like fantastic.
He looked amazing.
And also the reforming portion was amazing. The practical effects for that that reverse filming.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
They used for behind the scenes. They used apparently
so good.
most of the shots were just literally melted candle wax.
Melted and played in reverse.
Melted candle wax played in reverse.
And you can't even like tell unless you were told that. It looks magnificent.
Yeah, it looks disgusting.
The moment the skull like pops back into place, it's like you hear the little sound. It's like that was the good stuff.
Yeah, I was wondering. So do you think it revived him because of its a blood relative, or was it just like, it just needs to be blood?
Just needs to be blood from
because I've only
later
seen,
films will explain it later.
I've only seen the remake and then I've seen the original.
Yeah, no, they pretty much explained that it's just blood. Basically sacrifices, kind of like how the remake was like
sacrifice.
Give me anything, give me any soul or whatever. This one was more like just any flesh would revitalize this person.
Okay, so go on. So
after
he
that,
cuts himself. Gremlin Frank comes back.
Then Julia finds little gremlin Frank.
It's like the 1980s like Grogu.
Yeah. Oh God, it's disgusting.
It's the horror movie equivalent to Baby Yoda.
I think there was a little boy in the suit at that point, and that's why it even looked more disturbing.
It just looks so grotesque. It's so disgusting.
Which was fantastic, by the way. Like,
all pluses.
Yeah, there's nothing. There's no. Or let me rephrase that because some of the blood looked a little weird toward the end. But
there's a little too red,
a little too globby
that I didn't enjoy in that movie.
No, everything was just spot on.
Yeah.
Everything was just spot on. And the movie wasn't like... It blows my mind because the movie wasn't that expensive to make. Like,
you happen to know the budget off the top of your head?
So
let's do some research.
All right, so look at this. I guess the box office was like 16 million. You know, that was the box office. But like the budget...
I just know that scene with the everything played in reverse was filmed later on.
Oh my God.
It was filmed later.
The budget was 1 million. Which, it sounds like a lot, but...
At the time, it was a lot, but how much did it return back investment? Or like, how much did it make?
20 million. So it made back 20 times. Yeah, 20
oh my
times
goodness. But yeah.
Which, I mean, it makes sense that it spawned a franchise.
Yeah. Why more than a franchise? My man, they were mooching that out.
Just keep beating the dead horse.
Yeah, was it like 10 movies? I don't know how many movies there are
10
total.
Movies, yeah,
10 movies before we got the remake.
Okay, it was like 10 including the remake, or like 10 movies.
I think it's 10 movies and then the remake.
Get this. Okay, get this. It has nothing to do with it. Completely different topic. But you guys seen Candyman, the original one?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so that one...
Minor spoilers ahead, just FYI.
So that one, the budget for that one was 30 million. Which one had the better, I guess, grotesque visuals? That one, like Candyman or Hellraiser?
I would say Hellraiser, but the bee effects and the original Candyman were fantastic as well.
That's because they were actual bees.
They were actual bees, yeah.
It's like you can't really.
Who's the original actor?
Tony
Todd.
Todd.
Tony Todd, yeah.
Sorry, I'm a simp for Tony Todd.
Just throw some bees in my mouth. Like, let's make it look good.
My goodness!
It just shows you how, like, if you know how to like use your budget well and hire the right people, like you could just, I don't know, make anything amazing for like less than $1 million.
Because I've seen like YouTube horror films that are better than like Hollywood blockbusters. I wouldn't call them blockbusters. You know how every once in a while Hollywood's just like, let's just throw a horror movie out there and like kids will go see it, like Slender Man or something else that like could have been made so much better.
Yeah.
I'm still gushing about Tony Todd in my mind. I can't think of anything else right now.
No, but let's keep moving.
We're still recording.
Let's keep moving. So Frank gets resurrected. Julia sees him. Was she freaked out when she saw him?
Yeah, for sure.
She was 100% freaked out.
She wasn't like, she was like, oh, come here, baby. She was like, oh my God, what is that?
Smoochums.
Like, okay, yeah, I know.
Julia,
she was freaked out, but
me.
I feel like it was kind of weird how fast she overcame the fact that it's like, he's like a dead corpse that's back to life. He had it, obviously Frank had to convince her like, oh no, like I'm back from the dead because like there's this cube that it like gives you pleasure. All this like it's almost like a monkey paw, like a genie's lamp. It's one of those.
The poking was that good, dog.
Yeah,
she was like, I'm not on board.
You might not even really be Frank, but like the memories I've had of him in bed make me want to think you're Frank.
It's just so crazy to think that it's like seeing a person that like that, knowing that they died, and it's like, oh yeah, he's telling the truth. Like it's fine. Like
he hit her with the "Are you lost, baby girl?"
Yeah, but I mean, whatever. So like, but then the movie takes a turn because then
they introduce Larry's
daughter.
Yeah, but not yet, because they introduce his daughter. Well, they introduced her in the beginning because like she was supposed to move in with them, but she's like, no, I don't want to live with you guys because I hate your wife, pretty much.
That, and then she was also kind of like, I want to make my own way. Like I don't really want to rely on your money. Like,
yeah.
I want to pay for my own way.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, yeah, pretty independent daughter.
Yeah.
But then the movie takes for a turn when Frank tells her it's like, I need to regain my full body. But he tells her it's like, oh, I need blood, right, from other people.
Flesh.
Yeah, and so like
Blood
Julia
flesh.
starts attracting men, like other men into the.
Yeah, she goes to the airports and she's like, let me just be as promiscuous as possible.
Yeah.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, let me find some lonely people who are away from their family on business trips.
Some of them were scumbags, though.
So, I mean,
a lot
most
of them were.
I feel like most of them were, and
Yeah.
that's why
'Cause-
she didn't have that like reservation. It's like, oh, like what if this is like a decent
family
guy,
man or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what if he's just like visiting.
I appreciate the movie did that. It made me dislike the guy before they killed him.
Yeah,
Because there was that guy who was like, "Oh, you're looking back on me now, are you?"
yeah,
And then
that was like.
I was like, all right, now
that
you
was
can die.
Really uncomfortable because I think she was even like, oh, I don't
Hesitating.
know if I can do this, and he was like, oh, like don't you cuck me, and she was like, you know what, like hey, let's go to the sex dungeon, and it's just like a empty attic. Yeah.
So then,
Ever
Julia
dead on the
starts attracting men, multiple men into the apartment. She starts killing them off, and then Frank
One
starts...
at a time, I should add, because that'd be kind of
Yeah,
hard.
She's not Rambo.
obviously, yeah,
Yeah.
one at a time.
Not
And-
even that. Like just imagine it's like, oh hey, like meet me at my house, and like,
yeah,
that's like 3 different people show up at once. Like, you guys here for Julia?
This is
It's like,
bi-
yeah.
This is before people knew about orgies.
and refresh my memory. So who starts noticing first that she's acting?
The daughter.
The daughter, right?
Daughter, yeah.
The daughter tells the dad like, "Hey, your wife is acting up."
Yeah, because she sees her bring someone into the house.
Right.
But she already didn't like her because she's kind of like the evil stepmom almost.
Yeah.
And so she's already
Except
like...
instead of locking her in the attic, she locks other guys into the attic.
Da-da-da.
All right, but let's
And
talk
there's
about
no mice to help them.
let's talk about that. Like, it's like whenever they kill a guy, like just like little by little, his flesh starts coming back. His like,
And every single time, the special effects look
they
amazing.
they just look better and better and better. Like I know, like
It's
most
all
of it is
wet.
just like
Yeah, it's all, like
yeah, it's all wet, goopy, and it's like
you
oh
can
my
you can
God.
imagine like him running behind you, just hearing like.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no, and it's like, so the daughter notices first. She warns her dad, and then the daughter goes inside the apartment to skip over some things. Goes inside the apartment and sees Frank, her uncle. She freaks out, tries to escape.
Rightfully so. Like
Obviously,
he wasn't the charmer he was back
no,
then.
he's just a dude without skin, just like flesh and bones.
And he was being like real creepy toward
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
Which I mean, I don't know if that was intentional or if that was.
I'm
like
pretty sure it was
like an
intentional.
undertone.
Because he was supposed to be like just complete disgusting scumbags.
Yeah, because when he's like, "Hey, you want to make some deformed babies?" It's like,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just off.
because that when
Like
I first
he-
watched it, because you know how like some things get lost translation over like many years. It's like,
No,
Yeah,
it's directly
that was-
intended to be
yeah,
that.
I was like,
That
is
wasn't.
it? supposed
We
to be
haven't
that
discussed
creepy?
this since we watched it, so this is why we're openly discussing it now. Yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely implied he wants to make some.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's completely off the charts, and she freaks out, pushes him away, grabs the
puzzle.
the puzzle
We'll just call it
ball.
the puzzle.
Yeah, no,
The
what is it?
lament configuration.
The
Yeah,
lament
okay.
configuration. She grabs the puzzle box, throws it out of the window, and then like she runs out, passes out eventually.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
part was silly. Rewatching
like-
it, I was like,
I
dang.
was like, what
I
happened?
I
was
forgot
like,
how
what
silly that.
happened?
Yeah, we watched it together, and he was like, "Oh, like that's weird." And I was like, "I mean, it could be like shock, where she was like, what just happened?" And it kind of like adrenaline.
Yeah, makes sense.
Run like
I
3 blocks
mean,
down and pass out.
But then she got put
Yeah.
into like a mental ward.
I think it was just a regular
That's
hospital.
the thing that threw me off.
It didn't look
Because
I worked at a hospital.
because
I'm
the people that showed off, they're like, "Oh, do you need an ambulance? Do you need a police? Like, are you
wasn't
okay?"
she handcuffed too? Like,
Yeah, so it's like all these people
Well-
show up about this person fainting, and then she ends up in a mental ward. It's like, what the hell? Like,
guess-
she just woke up.
but I'm like, they're like,
not,
oh,
not me personally. I'm just saying back in the day.
then they put the puzzle box on her lap and are like, explain what this is. She's like, I don't know what it is.
So I just
Like,
found it.
So I will say this, her acting I think was the weakest,
Yeah.
because during that whole like I'm gonna get you, come to uncle, and it's like, oh, that's weird. She was like, no,
That made me
Yeah.
laugh though.
stop. And I
It
was
made
like,
it
"That's
hilarious,
weird."
dude.
But like
Yeah.
that was a pretty
Seemed a
big
little
brain
off.
move where she was like, I'm just gonna, the thing you need, I'm gonna throw it outside
Uh-huh.
where you can't be seen, and I'm just gonna book it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like when horror movie characters don't just like, oh no, I'm being chased, let me run upstairs. She was like, you need this, I'm gonna get rid of it and I'm gonna leave.
All right. So then after that, what happens?
So then after that,
She solves it?
She solves it, and then the room changes, and
Beautiful.
then the Cenobites come out.
we got the engineer first.
Hold on, let's talk about the engineer.
Yeah, I know some people think it's super cheesy.
It's
I like it.
awesome. Yeah, and honestly, I'm kind of like sad that the engineer didn't appear in the remake or something like that. You know,
Like just like
I was
hey,
kinda-
this is something similar, like, you know.
it's just some hellish, like deformed, like creature, like not even a humanoid, just like
Yeah.
literally just like a creature.
Because if you look like 50%, you look from the waist up, you're like, oh, that's like a person.
yeah,
and then
no,
you
It's
see
okay.
the
actually it's
full-
waist down. You can see the tram on
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You can
If
actually
look-
see it
yeah,
rolling.
the wheels. Yeah, like not
It
even
was
that.
not
Like if
supposed to
you
be
look,
HD.
like the first thing I noticed was the wheels on
wheels
on
on the
the
bottom.
creature. it was like on a dolly, and it was getting pushed forward, and I was like, okay, that's skip. Like the
Hey,
whole
but
time.
you know, what if that's just how it is? You know?
Yeah.
Look,
You're
the movie
working
was
on-
$1
you're
million.
working on the hallways of hell. Like you
The
don't wanna be
budget was
walking the whole time.
super tight, so it's like, yeah, the wheels were just on there for people to see, but I was like, I don't really care, like.
I'll
it
be
was-
honest, I didn't notice them.
That's
Yeah,
good.
that was
That's
your first
good.
viewing.
When I
That's
watched
why.
it,
That's
I
good.
was like,
But when you
I was like,
rewatch
this
it, you
is
could
nice.
totally see it.
No,
like-
the first thing I noticed, I was like, "Are those wheels?" Like, and then I went back and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's the dolly that was pushing the creature forward."
they were clearly like pushing it and then like puppeteers like moving the arms.
But it's fine, like the movie had a budget limit,
It
but
gave me some like Beguile vibes.
yeah, it was just I don't know, it was like hellish, like it's like holy.
Yeah, because
crap,
I think when it first appears, you see its silhouette and it kind of looks like a person,
right.
and then it like comes out of the shadows. Like that's not.
What?
That's not even close to
Wasn't
a
there like
person.
baby crying, like some kind of sound effect and like off in the distance? She was like wondering what it was.
Maybe.
I felt like it was baby crying, baby like voice, like
Like it was something. It was something.
It's
Like,
something
get her
eerie,
attention, yeah.
and then you see the silhouette, just like the like quick, and then just the quick rush of it. Yeah, yeah. No, I don't know. I just love it.
So she basically gets chased out by some basket case looking
Some
creature,
basket case, yeah.
and then all the main Cenobites kind of make themselves clear, like, hey, here's the rules. You solved the puzzle, so you're screwed. And she's like, oh, like, well, like I didn't know, like, she's like, I got this from this guy, and they're like, it doesn't matter, like, you solved the puzzle. And she's like, oh, like, well, what if I can give you the guy who escaped? And they're like, well, how do you know about that? She's like, because I saw him. He's my
Well,
uncle.
they're like, no one has
Yeah.
escaped. They didn't even realize he escaped.
Yeah,
No, yeah,
they're so
because-
confident in their ability.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They were like, what?
Well, the thing
Like-
is, he didn't escape. He just came back.
yeah, but he
because-
shouldn't have been able to.
No, of course not.
Yeah,
No,
that's
of
why.
course
That's why
not.
they're like, what are you on about?
Yeah.
They're like, you belong in this asylum.
Yeah.
You'd be crazy.
Okay, but hold on. Back to that quote that I was talking about earlier. When she was crying, he's like, "Save those tears. It's just a waste of suffering," or something like that, right?
Something like
before
that.
before we started
Yeah.
recording, we're
Well,
talking about this.
Yeah. It's because Raymond had a baby and she was crying, and I was like,
Like, save your tears.
Save those tears. Save those tears. It's just a waste of suffering."
And then she started crying more. I wonder why. But so she, what happens after that? She leads them back to the house, or she just goes back to the
No,
house.
she just goes back to the house.
Which, I mean, wasn't she in handcuffs, or were you imagining that? Is that like a Mandela effect?
I don't remember actually.
like,
I
3
don't
weeks ago.
remember. So this is where I find it kind of odd. She goes back to the house. Oh, at this point, they
She
killed
calls-
Dad.
No, she calls to check on her
No,
dad.
we don't know about that yet.
Oh, right.
Well, it's all right. We already gave him a spoiler warning.
Yeah.
What happened? She goes home. she has a dream about her father like dying. No, that was beforehand.
That's before, and then she checked on him. Then I think that's when she saw.
Yeah, she was worried about her dad basically, and
Yeah.
she went to go check on him, and it's all eerie. It's like you can clearly see that that Frank is wearing a fresh flesh suit of a papa.
Yeah, it's like when you see two kids in a trench coat. Trying
Yeah,
to buy a movie ticket, you're like,
she
oh,
can't tell the difference. We, as the audience, can completely see the hairline being bloody.
Yeah.
But that part again was another like a knock for the movie.
Which also like, kudos to the actor who played the dad.
Oh
'cause-
yeah, the actor who was Larry, the father,
yeah.
being able to.
He was two characters in the movie technically.
Technically, yeah.
And he
He
totally
was the
nailed it.
father, and he was
I
he
get
was
his name,
Frank.
play my respect.
No, yeah, and it's like obviously, later on they're like, oh yeah, it's
But
me, but wearing your father's skin, but it's like it's obviously the actor, but it's like I bought that it was Frank
That it
wearing
was
the
Frank.
skin. I was like, it was kind of dumb because I was like, oh
But I mean,
shit,
I don't
like,
know.
he's-
I don't know if it's just based off the time the movie was made, or because it seemed like really obvious that it was Frank, and it was just kind of like supposed to be eerie, and she's just like, oh yeah, like you're my dad, like for sure. Because weren't they just like, hey kid, it's me, your dad. Come give Papa a smooch, and she's like, oh thank God you're okay. I thought something bad happened to you.
Christy's the daughter's name. We're terrible at
Christy.
this. Yeah, we should have saying her name the whole time. We just said daughter.
oh, his daughter, yeah, Chris.
Well, I mean, is she in any of the sequels?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's pretty-
How important is she
Nah,
really?
she's
she
pretty important.
she was the main character in the second one, but it's one of those things where it's like she's only important for like
Yeah, she hasn't seen it. I'll
first
leave it.
5 minutes. All right.
I'll leave it to
I
that.
don't think it matters that much.
Oh no, I'm having fun watching these. Yelling at you guys. You're like, get good.
But anyways,
You're like, "Mom, you're trash."
so she goes into the house, sees that the uncle killed the dad, and then the uncle starts. He confesses to everything, like, yeah, it's me. I killed your dad. I survived this and this and that.
Yeah, and then the Cenobites come back like that's all we needed to hear.
That's all we needed
Book
to
'em,
hear.
boys.
Yeah,
And then the rest of them come out.
and then that scene is like that was the money shot, I think, in my opinion. Well, I mean, when Frank starts coming back, that's pretty cool too.
That
But
was probably my favorite part of the movie.
for me, my money shot is when they hook his face and they start stretching it.
Yeah,
That one was gnarly.
like for the time, like imagine seeing that in theaters, right?
No, think about this for the time and the budget.
Yeah.
Dude, and the budget, like.
Like they had to make that with Play-Doh, but they made it look real
Yeah,
convincing.
dude.
The
like
father-
it's
The father's played by Andrew Robinson. That's the actor's
Andrew
name.
Robinson. Okay.
Okay, because I mean, like he did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Because that whole line, the final line of Jesus wept,
Oh,
that was ad lib.
God.
He just
That's such a demented, like
That's
you know when
so
it's like when they put
demented,
a serial killer in like the electric chair or whatever, like
Yeah.
lethal injection, and they're like, oh, like, do you want to say anything to show remorse? And they're just like, nah, screw him. And it's like just to
And
use
the
your dying breath, like you're about to die, and you're just like, nah, I'm gonna make him suffer.
Yeah, and the craziest thing of all is that this movie, I mean, yeah, it has like religious undertones, right? But like they even said, it's like, no, like we're not from hell. We're just from a different dimension. Like,
yeah,
just
they hit it with the same line of like some people have referred to us as angels, others like
yeah, so I was like, oh
that's
my
why it's
God.
like
So-
it's creepy as hell. Like,
yeah, so it's like for him to just say that, like Jesus wept, is like, oh my God, like that's crazy.
One thing I want to just quickly mention is no worries. Go ahead, click that.
So
Is it still
I
recording?
mean, yeah. So pretty
What-
much,
One thing I want to bring up because we're getting really close to the ending, how the daughter was just kind of doing whatever, right?
Yeah,
and then
she
she
was
just
like-
kept getting harassed by like a random homeless guy.
oh yeah, the eating crickets.
Yeah, he's just like, sorry, I got a little peckish.
So that was really okay. So that was another
Because
great part.
I know I think you and I think both of you will disagree with me on that. I thought the ending was just really out of place.
I thought it was funny as hell.
I mean, don't
it
get me
was-
wrong. Like objectively, that's hilarious. But for me, I was like, oh, that kind of killed the vibe a little bit.
I mean,
But we'll get to that in a bit. So basically she does a sting operation with the Cenobites. They get Frank and they're like, all right, cool, we got him.
now we gotta
By
get
the
you.
way, like you did solve the puzzle. Like
yeah, now we gotta get
he
you.
dems the rules, and she was like, oh, like, and then her boyfriend,
Right.
who just must
Oh,
have
I
had like
forgot
the
about
weirdest.
boyfriend.
Yeah, he was just I
Like
agree.
okay, so imagine,
So
imagine you go
useless.
to your girlfriend's house, right?
Right.
You're just like, oh, I'm concerned about her. Like, she ran out screaming. She woke up in the hospital. She's been gone for like a few hours. Let me go check on my girlfriend. And you come in. The house is melting. Everything's on fire. She's being chased by demons. What are your first thoughts?
I mean,
maybe this isn't gonna work out.
Yeah, dude. It's like, what's going on? What haven't you told me?
Yeah.
You know. But
it's like now I don't feel bad about cheating on you this weekend.
Oh, no.
So they get out of the house. They somehow escape the engineer. Does the engineer come back?
I think they all come back. And I think
okay.
the whole final set piece was all of the Cenobites, at least what we've seen.
The engineer starts coming down the hall, and they escape the engineer. They get out of the house, and like the whole house just blows.
Crispy.
Yeah, just crispy.
Light explosion.
She throws the puzzle on in the fire, and then the home.
That was a separate spot, right? Like, didn't they go to like the
they just went to a bonfire. They literally
they
just literally walked to a bonfire and were
they
like,
went to like one of those like you would see like Hey Arnold, or like, these are the homeless people, and then
like a barrel on fire.
Yeah, they have the barrel on fire, and they have like just that.
They threw the puzzle in the fire, and the homeless guy, I guess that was his barrel on fire.
he just walks into it and does this amazing fire stunt.
No, right? It was. I mean, at first I was like, "That's crazy. Why would he do that?" You know, because he grabbed the Lament Configuration, grabs it, catches himself on fire, and then turns into like this crazy gargoyle. And I was like, "What?"
Like a dragon. Yeah.
And then he flies away, and that was Hellraiser.
I was
1988.
I was
Man,
like, what the hell?
I appreciate that. I know what you mean by it totally takes you out of the moment, but I'm thinking this is your like you're making a horror movie. You might as well go balls to the walls. Let's throw everything at the wall here. Let's do it, and then be like, we don't know if we're gonna get a sequel. Why not? Dragon, freaking skeleton dragon.
Like, man, like, how do we end this movie? Like, dragon is like, Frank, like, relax, like, we're not gonna end it with the dragons. Like, but what if we did?
Yeah.
Well, think about this.
We got $12 left in the budget.
I could feel that enthusiasm from the director. Just like, let's do this. Like, I think that's what I love about it.
I mean, think about this. So at the end of the movie, you see that the merchant has the box again, and he's selling it to somebody else.
Yeah, that's how.
So I feel like it's like that winged creature was like, because I feel like
little delivery messenger boy.
Yeah. It's
Care
like
package.
Okay, now this is gonna have to go back to the merchant, because I feel like the merchant he's
important somehow.
Yeah, like it's like they never ever explain, like it's like, oh, like he's a Cenobite in disguise, like he's.
But there was no
like
way.
One of those people, those people who train crows, and they're like, oh, just give me something shiny.
Yeah.
What if he's like that, and he's just like he just trained a dragon? He's like, yeah, whenever you see this box, just bring it back to me. I'm gonna sell it again.
Yeah, and so like
or he was the dragon. Who knows? Like,
yeah, who knows?
It's very
I don't know,
ambiguous.
yeah,
but
it's
you can't imagine like I'm making this movie, and then a franchise is gonna spawn from this. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, from one.
You gotta give it your all.
I don't remember.
This might be your last chance.
It was you or you. I'm pointing, by the way. We don't have this on camera yet. But someone was like, "Oh, I love the movie. Like, it pretty much just feels like, oh, like, what can we get away with? Like, let's just."
It was me.
Yeah, like, let's just film like some really messed up, like, grotesque stuff. And if it ends up in the movie, cool. If not, like, we'll have to work around it.
Because this movie got banned in a lot of places. While I was doing some research while you guys were talking, I was like, the person that popped up was like, "Why is Hellraiser banned in my country?" I was looking it up specifically because I know we're forgetting two memorable and notorious lines in the movie. The reason why Christy finds out that Frank stole Larry's skin is because he goes, "Come to daddy." So he hits her with that, and he's like, "No." And then when she realizes, this is what I was going to mention earlier, she goes, "Bastard, bastard." She just hits it with it like 3 times. It's the funniest. Like, I don't know. I appreciate it. It made me laugh. I'm not sure it wasn't supposed to, but
yeah,
I got a good laugh at it.
If she was a little bit better acting at that time when they filmed the movie, that would have like hurt like super deep. But because of how it was, and I'm sure they had like time constraints, they couldn't do more than one take.
I want to find out what her first role was while I'm here.
So I mean, it's so funny because it's like Clive Baker, the director of the movie, like he took his mom to the premiere.
Oh
yeah, you were telling me about
this.
Yeah,
I was telling you guys that. It's like, the mom, because it's kind of weird. I mean, back then, credits rolled in the beginning of the movie, and also
they still
in
do.
the end. They still do,
Yeah.
but back then they showed the entire credits
that is
in the
weird.
beginning of the movie. You
Yeah.
know, because back
Well,
then.
because who else is gonna sit past it? Now we have like end credit scenes, so people will sit through.
Yeah,
But before
I
it's like,
guess.
hey, like, watch who made this movie, respect them, and now enjoy.
Yeah, and it's like it shows that. So Clive Baker was with his mother in the premiere, and like they say that it's like during the opening credits, like his mom was just crying with joy, And then after the opening credits was over, it's like he just felt like the look of proud mother in her face just kept diminishing more and more and more. And then he asked himself, he's like, "Oh,
like
what did I create?" You know,
The
like,
Mr. Incredible meme.
Yeah, yeah, from TikTok.
Ashley Lawrence is the actress.
What was her first role?
I'm looking for it right now.
Or the daughter.
The daughter.
The daughter.
The daughter looked like so much like Winona Ryder. Like I had her vibes.
You mentioned that, and I kind of saw it, but I you know.
Like she looks, I don't know, dude. Like for me, she looks exactly like her in the 90s.
All right, so I'm still gonna give her respect, and that was her first role.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was saying.
It's first role, second role is Hellraiser 2.
Oh my god.
Then 1990, the face the edge. I don't know what that is.
What was her last role?
Her last role, most recent role. I'm scrolling down through her filmography here.
She had a pretty.
No, I'm not gonna include television, The Green Fairy.
Sure.
And 2015. I'm not sure.
No idea.
I recognize the actress from previous roles, but I just want Hellraiser Seeker, Hellseeker.
Yeah,
I guess one of the ones she makes a return in one of the next ones. I don't know.
There you go. You ruined the surprise for me.
No,
When I
didn't.
get to the 7th film, I'm like, oh man.
I haven't even gotten this.
Yeah.
All right, so
Honestly, maybe I'll watch the second one, but I don't think I'm gonna go any further than that.
I love the second one because again they're just like, what can we get away with?
no,
What can we
Now
afford?
that we
the
have a
second one,
budget.
I feel like the second one, that's where the fun starts because that's when the series starts getting a little bit more.
And they start having a lot of the references that they made from the remake come from second and third films.
Yeah. Like they start opening the lore a lot more because it's like
Okay.
the place where they come from. You see it in the second one. Like,
I want to say this before, why? Because I didn't really watch the movie prior. Like I knew it was like, oh, this is a super good franchise. Like you got all these like memorable creatures.
right.
I always thought the movie was gonna be like torture porn.
BTSM.
Yeah,
That's what I
'cause
thought
it's
too.
like, oh, like you have these creatures in leather, and they're just like, yeah, we're gonna get you with hooks and.
I mean, it
And if
kind
you're
of.
into it,
I
you're
mean, the
into it.
scenes that were torture, they were torture.
No, they were, but it wasn't
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, like for her pleasure, you know.
But
It was like, oh hey, like this is what we think is cool. Like we're just gonna do this to you because you did the box.
so for Raymond, for you, was it a knock that there was like that little bit of a love triangle between Frank? I forgot the. we haven't said her name.
No, I think the only issue I
Larry?
had was like how easily she was just like, yeah, okay,
Persuaded.
like,
It was a good smashing, dog. Like that's all I can narrow it down to.
But I mean, I don't know how many
No, but I'm saying
guys you've had.
stepmom.
Oh,
I don't know how many partners you guys have, and I don't think anything was that good. Where I was like, yeah, I'll start killing. Like maybe you'll get your looks
yeah,
back.
he's worth like
Yeah.
his corpse is worth killing a couple of men, you
Yeah.
know, and my insanity a little bit.
All right,
Yeah.
fair enough, knock. But do you think that the love part of it knocked like any points off of it? Because I remember that was Leo's biggest critique. He's like, it's a weird,
It's
So-
a
so
weird love
thing.
triangle.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Two things, right? The one of the things I really liked about the movie were how the Cenobites or Cenobites were like such non-characters.
yes.
I could almost argue the same about her dad.
But I felt
He
for
just
him.
wasn't. Yeah, I mean, like, don't get me wrong.
The
I
whole
felt
movie,
bad.
I was like, I felt bad. He's like, oh, babe. She's like, I have a headache, and he's like,
But
knocking
let
the
me
door,
help-
like, you need Tylenol? No, I got you, babe.
Yeah, like let me get my first aid kit.
He
Like,
wasn't a
Hey,
bad guy.
you need a back
yeah.
rub? Let me get you a back rub.
I felt bad. I was like, man,
Like,
he's just,
if anyone's the victim in this movie, is him.
It's him.
Yeah.
Because like no one had a single clue. What was
And yes,
going
we're
on
all men saying
except
he's the
him. Like the daughter
Cancels.
found out about the puzzle and like everybody else
Barely
found.
though. Like she
Yeah,
barely.
but
found...
like the dad had nothing. Like
yeah,
he had
was
no
just
clue
kind of
about
like he was
anything.
like, oh, my wife and my daughter are here. Like this is a great day.
Is that my brother?
Julie is the name of the stepmother.
But
Yeah, Julia.
Julie is the name of the
But I
stepmother.
almost felt like he wasn't a very important character.
He was literally just a victim.
Yeah.
Like,
So I
Yeah,
literally
he
feel
was
like
just a victim.
he was a
he-
sympathetic character.
he
that
was
she's
the
just like,
reason why. What was her name? Julia.
Julia is the stepmother, yes.
Why she was in the house to meet Frank, and then that was kind of the end of his importance in the role.
Well, they also mentioned that like Frank basically slept with her like immediately after they got married.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like she was unfaithful from the beginning. Like,
All right, so let's talk about this.
so we want to transition from the new one to the new one, or what do you want to discuss?
Yeah. So I mean,
we don't have to recap the new
yeah,
one.
no,
we can just jump right
we
into
talked
it.
about the new one, so now let's just compare. So Raymond,
Yeah, so this is our first time trying to do the remake versus original. So like we'll probably have it better formatted next time we do something similar to this.
Nah,
but-
we're just gonna wing it.
Yeah,
Blah, blah, blah.
most likely we're gonna wing it. We're really bad at prepping.
let me ask you this, Raymond. So Which one do you think is better?
The original.
The original one?
Like by a mile.
Well, okay,
By a
and
mile,
then
okay.
rate it, just to give us some kind of
Yeah,
perspective.
rate both of them.
On a scale of 10.
Out of 10.
Well, I did the rating one last time.
I'm not
but
sure if it changed. That's why I'm like.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, it would have gotten lower. I don't remember.
That's what I'm wondering.
I don't remember what I gave.
What does
it.
your heart say now?
I don't remember what I gave it, but the original.
I think you gave it like a 7.
No,
No?
that's way too high.
Really?
I think I gave it a 4.
Hey, I said you said
oh,
4.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
You
I think I
hated
gave
it.
the remake
You
a 4.
hated it.
Hey,
I forgot.
at the end of this, we'll probably edit like,
Yeah, I
hey,
forgot.
this receipts.
This one,
Editor's
I would
notes.
probably go so high as to say like 7.5, maybe an 8.
The
original?
The original.
Wow.
Okay, I'm glad because I felt like the previous.
Like it
ratings
wasn't
were
a perfect horror movie,
but it was fun.
but
and
it was fun.
Yeah,
It was fun. The practical effects were amazing. It wasn't like, oh, like, hey, can we sleep with the lights on tonight?
What are some of the things you didn't like about the original?
The daughter's acting. What was her name again in the movie?
Julia?
in the original, Christy.
Christie's.
Julia's the
Christie's
stepmother.
acting in the movie wasn't super good, which is a little unfortunate. Like I know it was her first role,
Yeah,
but it's a little unfortunate because she became the leading character in the second half of the movie.
Right.
And the other part was like whoever played Frank, if you guys can look that up, so I can give him proper props.
yeah,
but
I could do it.
he was fantastic as the villain
He
in
was
the movie.
amazing, yeah.
The wife Julia, how easily she was convinced, where she was like, yeah, I'll kill for you. Like,
yeah.
Like,
You're
like we have fond memories.
your
Like
fleshy, skinless
all
corpse is worth killing other people.
Oliver Smith is the name of the actor for Frank.
yeah, like he
It's
was
called The
fantastic.
Monster.
Like just
It was great.
his line delivery was perfect. Like I think his line delivery was better than like Pinhead's.
I see.
Pinhead's is probably more iconic now, but
Yeah.
like just watching the movie, if you just watch it one straight shot, you're like, this is the villain of the movie.
And also friendly
Right.
reminder for the audience that like Raymond hasn't seen anything coming up or anything after. I honestly think watching it to the third is most fun, but
Well, yeah, like obviously when
They-
they start making him more of a main character, sure.
no. But the reason I bring it up is because they like that issue you have with Julia. They fix later on, and for me personally, I don't know if it'll fix it for you, but that's also why I got that bias to my opinion. But I can definitely see your point
Yeah.
because Frank's a pretty intimidating character. He's just straight up manipulative.
Yeah.
He's just the puppeteer. He's the ventriloquist behind the scenes, making everything happen. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I
No
was thinking
worries.
about it as the second movie. I was like, man, that's why I enjoyed the second movie a lot too.
But, so one thing I liked about this movie over the original is how the Cenobites are more of a force of nature. They're just
It
like,
does
hey,
feel, yeah,
they're
I
just
get
like,
that.
just if you solve the puzzle, we're gonna come for you, we're gonna get you, and there's no escape. That's it.
Yeah.
In the remake, they're kind of like, hey, solve the puzzle for me.
Yeah, and it's like,
Like, hey,
we're
hey,
gonna give you a couple rules
yeah,
that,
we're
that you
just-
can follow.
Yeah.
You know, like
And
this is how
and
this
they're
works.
very loose. You don't have to be.
There's a
So,
lot of loopholes.
yeah, basically.
No, I agree with you because it's like I kind of like the new one because it was giving you more rules on that. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. But,
but
at the same
it's like,
time, it's
I
like
feel like with creatures that are of a different world, like a different dimension, like
shouldn't
it's weird to
matter.
be like, yeah, these are the rules you got to play by.
yeah, no, it shouldn't matter. Like these are like
Like imagine if they make
demons
like
from another
a
dimension.
H.P. Lovecraft movie with like Cthulhu.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, he can only operate on Sundays. He can't do past 2 p.m.
If it's cloudy, he
If
can
it's
only he
cloudy-
can only use his right arm.
What
Yeah.
is the
It's
name
like-
of the
but
movie?
it's like another worldly thing, so it's
Bird
like
Box.
it should just kind of like
Bird Box,
happen.
yeah.
Bird Box implies that it's like Cthulhu and like other mythological creatures that are
Yeah.
causing it. Just can't you look at them and your mind just shatters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like that's almost like uncontrollable. You literally see something and just like
Yeah,
you're
like, just
screwed.
the
Like
fact- yeah,
I get what you
and
mean. Force of
it's not-
nature versus rulebook.
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
But
get
I
you.
like that. It's like the whole sense of like a force of nature that cannot be still. Once it's started, you cannot stop it. It just has to like go on with this thing, you know?
My only problem with that, like specifically that critique, is that it sucks that if you solve the puzzle, you're just screwed. Like in the original,
Yeah.
it's like you solve it. Oh, why did I go through the effort of solving this?
Yeah, like, it sucks.
Like-
It sucks, but I mean, it's like the people who like were seeking it were kind of like, oh, like this is what it's for.
Yeah, but that was also the ongoing
So that-
joke that everyone could just solve it. Everyone just looks at it as like, done. Like, must be the easiest thing. And that
Like,
was the same problem
'cause
with the
they-
new one, too.
They grab it and they just kind of like mess with it and like, oh, I solved it. Like, I guess I'm gonna die. I can't eat, like I'll mess with the Rubik's cube for like 3 days and I'm like, wow, it's
GG's.
It's the same. Like I matched 2 colors on opposite sides.
So,
All right, and what's your opinion of like from the original to the?
well, when we finished doing the remake, I gave the remake a 8 and the original one a 7.
Yeah, you rated pretty
Because
highly.
you were dropped on your head as a baby, right?
Yeah. Well, no, it's because the first time that I saw the original one was the only time that I saw the original one. It was like years ago, and I remember I liked it. I was like, oh, this is really cool, you know. But obviously, I'm like, all I can remember was like, yeah, I remember the wife, you know, I remember the dad, I remember the daughter, and I remember
And there were some boobs in it.
yeah, and I was like, I remember the uncle in it, and I was like, I remember the uncle dying, and the mom having an affair with the uncle, and then like for some reason I thought, I'm like, okay, there was a love triangle between the dad and the uncle, and like, and I 100% forgot, you know, that she had to bring like. I knew that the uncle came back more and more throughout the movie.
Yeah, it was like the mummy.
Yeah, exactly. But I forgot that the mom had to go out and grab other men, killing them.
Yeah,
back
participated.
In the house. Yeah, and I was like, oh my god,
It would be different if she was like, oh yeah, like just go in the room and I'll meet you in there.
Yeah.
But she had to do the dirty work.
She literally got a hammer and just like what?
Yeah, and I forgot about that, and I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. Like there hasn't been another movie that had like. I don't know, like this movie.
I'm trying to think.
Right?
Yeah,
there's a lot of
there's a lot of movies.
It immediately made me think of, like I said, Mrs. Voorhees or like Jason's mother.
Not even that.
It brought me back to that, but I'm trying to think of another movie, like you said, more recent, where the
only one that I can
female
think of
antagonist
is The
was
Audition.
just like. It really does seem like it though, because that's like exactly what happened.
That's true, yeah. But now I'm changing my score. I'm gonna give the original one a 9. You know, and the remake an 8, because the remake is still pretty good. It stands on of its own.
I disagree.
And you're allowed.
I know. But okay,
flip the table.
Look, now that I seen the original one, I'm like, man, this would have been cool if they would have brought this in the remake. Or this would have been cool because
brought that
like,
same energy.
Yeah, or same ideas. Because I'm like, this movie had such a low budget, and it just like everything on screen just looked amazing, and like the ideas they showed on screen. For example, like the engineer, if they would have had some sort of like creature like that in the new one. You know.
Speaking of engineer, just because this is another grip I have with the remake, is it's 2 rule book for me, right? So the main villain of that one was the like rich guy. He built an entire house to trap them.
Yeah.
Did nobody think like, hey, what's this for? It's like the, you know how they say like,
hey man, the ultra wealthy dog.
It works like a cult in a little bit.
Okay, because it reminds me of like, you know, people complain about like Batman's like, hey, like Batman, like how did you get all these people like to help like dig this cave and like get all this computer stuff set
joke,
up? And like, oh, don't worry about it.
Like you have a lazy Susan for
your car.
Batmobile. All right, so then we've heard these 2 gentlemen's opinions. I'll get to mine. I do slightly rate the original a little bit lower because I can see the critiques better now. Like I
now
said,
that they're being pointed out.
More like I'm just because like basically. Because I could definitely see the problems with it. I rated it like a 9. You're like, you remember, you're like, Bobby, it's a near perfect movie. I'm like, it kind of is, man.
I mean, yeah,
that's exactly how it was the last time we spoke about this. But rewatching, I'm like, all right, I can see how that was a bit much. I'm a bit biased, so I'm gonna stick at an 8. I would say 8.5, 8, but I'm gonna just settle at 8, and then I place the original also at a 7. Because I do think there's more of an emotional payoff, like an emotional journey for the characters if you're paying attention to like after you view it,
like personal character arcs.
I like philosophy, guys. So like I'm gonna sit there.
Character arcs, I would say the remake has the advantage over the original.
Yeah.
Because if you watch the original, nobody really has a character arc.
Yeah.
It's
except Julia,
I'm evil.
Maybe.
No.
Yeah, you know, I guess you're right.
He's like, hey, I'm Frank. I'm evil. She's like, hey, I'm Julia. I'm a scumbag. He's like, I'm the daughter.
But here's the thing. I
love my papa.
I like the characters from the original one better.
I like them better, but they're one-dimensional characters.
Yeah, like
from beginning to end,
they're the same person.
They're going through everything. Yeah.
I mean, like the daughter didn't really change. The dad didn't change. He just died at the end.
The only person who changed was like Julia let herself out, kind of like her personality showing more and more, and she saw that she was more like Frank.
Worse, yeah.
Yeah. And then Frank, nobody really, there was no really growth for any character besides maybe Chrissy a little bit, but it's more like not really, because she was already kind of confrontational.
It was like
she was already very good
from Phineas and Ferb.
I did
what I had to survive, and like nothing else. It was, you know.
Yeah, so that's where I stand on my ratings. I do see positives on both ends. The number one thing I was most looking forward to when I had Raymond watch the remake was spectating this movie from from without the bias of the original. When I watched, I
That's
tried my
true,
best
yeah.
to isolate it, and I was still like, man, I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd done that. But I was like, you know what? I'm taking a step back and experiencing this for what it is, and that's why I liked the movie for what it was. But if you love the original or
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 you're a
anything
fan
about the
of the
original,
original.
and then you
I
saw that,
think-
I could see like it
I
was
think the remake would have been fine as its own movie, but I feel like they used the Hellraiser name to be like, oh hey, like we're gonna piggyback off this franchise.
I just think it's like a reimagining, but not everyone else's, you know? Because I'm like I'm just thinking like all the blood and gore that was in that original, but it's like you don't necessarily need that
It
to
was
make
tamed.
it.
It was. I mean, the remake
Was it
had-
PG-13?
No, it was rated R.
The new one?
Yeah, the new one.
Oh, I
But
didn't
the,
feel
I
like
mean,
it.
the remake.
After watching the other one.
The remake, if it had its scenes, like for example, the scene in the van, when one of the friends died inside the van, like that was gruesome, but it's like at the same time,
Gruesome and confusing.
I mean,
Yeah, I
and
think that's pretty
disorienting,
accurate.
and disorienting too, because they didn't. That's one of the things they didn't really explain about the remake. That it's like,
you know what did that really well?
huh?
Ready? Speak to me.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah,
Which part?
Yeah, you're right.
Any part where they're
Dreamlike
where they're
state.
dying, but everyone else sees them in real life.
And
Oh,
it's like
yeah,
their
okay.
body in real life is just like in the same room, but it's just
and
like
you just
dying.
see like the cuts coming in. You see
Yeah.
them floating, all that stuff.
In the van scene in the remake, like
We don't know if they saw her.
yeah,
if she's
she was
just-
like in a different room, and then what was the name of the girl from the remake? I forgot. Anyway, she looks through the mirror into the back seat, and she sees that her friend's in another room, getting tormented, and so it's like, okay, wait, so can they see?
That's what I was saying. Because
You know?
remember,
That's exactly what you brought up last time. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like,
Yeah.
And you-
like,
you were
are the
talking about
people
this.
who only have the puzzle can see them. But then,
Oh man,
so
see,
But
there's
then, like,
there's
people-
so many
that's
loopholes.
what I'm saying. If
There's
you're
so
gonna
many loopholes.
add a bunch of rules
You gotta
to
abide
a
by
franchise, you have to follow them. You have
yeah.
to. You
Well,
have
they
to
didn't
think about-
explain-
like
didn't
It
explain that rule. They
Follows,
didn't
like all
explain
the
that
other
rule.
ones.
Like
Yeah.
it follow when in the movie it follows, like if you've done the deed with somebody who has it, you see it, and even though it's not after you, like you could still see it.
It still
Yeah,
exists
but
in the
you still
physical
see
world.
you
Yeah.
still see the person dying
Yeah.
as they're dying, and like
Because
their
it's still
imagination
something you
and
can still
stuff like
touch, but you can't see it. That's literally
Yeah.
all it is. And the rules were it follows you until it catches you. That's it.
Yeah.
Very straightforward, very simple. But yeah, but I don't know. That's the thing about it. It's like I get what they were going for, and I don't knock it for being
I
its
think
own
they
thing.
wanted cooler set pieces,
I'm listening.
and they just didn't really have a spot to put them in the story
In the remake?
in the remake.
Oh, you mean like as far as like the whole? Well, yeah, I guess I could see that.
Because basically the whole
Like the
movie
whole
takes
dungeon
place,
area and everything.
The whole movie takes place in the house practically.
for a good chunk of it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they're like, oh well, we want to have like creative kills. So hey, let's just make a different dimension, and let's just have it reappear and disappear whenever.
Yeah, I mean they kind of imply that in the original one too, where it's like when they
Very
kill-
loosely.
Yeah,
like,
when they killed Frank in the beginning, like he died in like this.
He just died immediately.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it's like in this dark, like dungeon-looking place, and it's like, oh, it's the attic. Like,
I thought it was just the attic.
my number one
But
positive.
after hearing the budget for the movie, it probably was. They just like, oh, let's just
yeah,
take
they
some
just
chains
darken
around.
everything up. Yeah.
My number one positive for the remake, outside of the remake specifically, is because I love the character development between, like, you could see character change for each character. Is the goodness, I forgot my thought. I hate that. I'll come back to it.
Oh yeah, come back to it because I was gonna say this. So the only thing I could really give the remake above the original would be the costume design.
Oh
But I
yeah,
can't
that's,
even-
that's a
I-
big one.
yeah.
I can't even give it like better special effects because the original special effects were so much better.
Yeah.
It's literally
No,
the only thing
yeah.
that I liked of the remake was the costume design for the Cenobites.
I remember my point.
Yeah.
The fact that they gave him an out. The fact that they were like, because before it was like, okay, someone has to sacrifice someone. In the original, Julie has to sacrifice people to give them flesh. In the remake, to Frank, yeah.
Yeah.
But in the original, I mean, in the remake, you can stab someone and sacrifice someone else. It's like that's much more of a useful, like, thing than just solving a puzzle and being screwed. Like, I don't know. I
But
feel like
that's what I'm
that.
saying. That's why that's actually why I like the original better because it's just
Yeah,
a
'cause
force of nature.
yeah.
It's just like, oh hey, if you happen to stumble across this like cursed object, you're gonna die if you mess with it.
Yeah.
But the other one, it was like, oh hey, like find us people,
And-
sacrifice them, and we'll grant
And
you
we'll
a
grant
wish.
you a wish, yeah.
Which is like what I guess they're genies now.
Basically.
I mean,
Yeah,
not really.
basically, yeah.
They're
Yeah.
kind of like a monkey's paw. It's like we'll grant you that wish.
Yeah,
but,
that's like the
it's
original
not-
like mythos for genies is like,
Yeah, that's
hey,
true.
like
It's kinda like
be
they
careful how you word it because I'm gonna screw you over.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
they took the concept from the beginning of the original and then just try to make like the whole movie out of
Based
that.
off that.
Now that I'm like not sure like talking about it out loud, like I could see that
Yeah.
because that's basically what they did. They just kind of evolved on it. Because when I watched the remake, I was like, wow, they're trying to expand it so much more. But yeah,
But I mean, like,
so those are my three. I agree with across the board.
so well, hold on. One small thing that I like about the remake that I noticed from the original one is how the puzzle box worked. Because it's like in the remake, like when they solved the puzzle, it seems like they just pulled it up, turned it, and pulled it down.
Yeah, a lot of people got
And it's like anybody could just solve that. In this one, like you had to like it changes shapes and turned into a cylinder. Like
So I will say this because how you were saying like, oh, it sucks in the original how you just solved a puzzle
Yeah.
and you're screwed over. Same thing with the new one because it's like, oh hey, just
oh,
randomly
if
this
it
puzzle's
stabbed you, yeah.
no,
suddenly
only if
this
it
this
stabbed
puzzle-
you though. Only
yeah,
if
but
it
it
stabbed
always
you.
it
Luck
always,
of the draw, baby. RNG gods.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I mean,
like you mess with the puzzle. If it doesn't stab you, maybe go to Vegas. You might be lucky. But
That's the risk and reward,
the whole
baby.
point, the whole point was like, oh, like it just stabs you.
Yeah.
So
Valid,
like,
valid,
you could
valid,
be screwed
valid,
over
valid.
either way.
Because that's what happens to the brother's name is the brother's name Colin?
Colin, yeah,
What's his name?
yeah.
Or was that the boyfriend?
I'm nodding. I don't know for sure.
Jeez, I don't remember.
Because I remember
I gave it a 4. I don't have to remember these.
you don't
small
have
details.
to. And so I'm gonna before we wrap up, I just wanted to quickly touch on the idea versus. I should have probably done this earlier, but the like what defines a good remake? I pulled up the definition on just Google right now, and then for a verb, obviously it's make again or differently. It's like okay, and then for a noun, it's a movie or piece of music that has been filmed or recorded again and re-released. So it's like, do you guys argue that pretty much the original is always better, or do you think what do you think factors into making a good remake? Because I like if you some classic movies are remakes. Like
I won't consider this a remake.
really,
I would consider it a retelling.
Of what the remake?
what's the
of
difference
Hellraiser?
then? Because I'm gonna look up
so
retelling now.
I would say like a remake is like, hey, we're gonna take the same idea and we're gonna improve upon it. This one was like, hey, we're gonna take the same idea but we're gonna change it.
The retelling, according to Google definitions, verb tell a story again or differently.
Yeah.
So, look,
It's almost the same thing, but
Yeah.
just for like semantics, I would say like, oh, the Hellraiser 2022, it's not a remake of the original story or like the source material. It's like, hey, let's take this concept and just use it a little bit different.
Okay.
Instead of saying like, oh, we're gonna take this story and we're gonna
mean,
retell
it's
So
it.
then,
sort
would
of-
it be better if it was a shot for shot? Because people hate that.
No, I hate
people,
shot for
No,
shots.
it
But like,
would
what
be
if we got
worse.
the first movie shot for shot, but like with better acting, more practical effects? Would you like?
No, because
doesn't that seem like a recipe for
You
success?
would know exactly what's coming. So it's like the whole movie. It's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I know what's coming.
But that's the thing why people go to
Oh,
see
yeah, it's like, so if you-
remakes.
if-
Usually, they want to see something that's familiar.
No, well, not familiar, but like I would say, like for me, when I see remakes, I'm like, okay, like I don't want to see something done the same way I remember it, but like maybe done differently, but like with a little bit of like, so it's like, oh, okay, they use that. Like I remember that.
So
you know what
let's
I mean?
take for example like Dawn of the Dead and
I was like Evil Dead.
and then
Just sitting here like,
I mean, or Evil Dead,
no, that's fine. I was just waiting for it.
right? You could take those like, oh, those are really good remakes.
But
Right.
what
But
makes
then
them
you
good?
then you watch like American Psycho with Vince Vaughn, and you're like,
They're the exact same movie.
It's the exact same movie,
just same
just-
shots.
I'm a bastard. I've never seen American Psycho. Oh wait, have I? The one with
Not American Psycho. No, it's
Psycho.
Yeah,
I've never seen.
1990s
I've seen
1990s
American Psycho. I've never seen Psycho.
No. Like they made a remake to Psycho.
Okay, but what
with,
about The Thing? That was a remake.
Yeah, but
That was-
it was more like a prequel remake.
No, there was a prequel.
it was a remake.
But there was one before that.
It was
yeah.
it was an exact remake up until the end.
Yeah.
Which part?
yeah,
Oh, you're talking
yeah.
about the
The Thing. So
Is it
the
George Romero?
2011. No, that's John Carpenter.
John Carpenter. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
a
Because
bastard. Sorry, guys.
the Thing 2011 with Ramona.
That was a
Flowers,
prequel.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
But there's
No, I'm saying the whole movie played out exactly the way the original played out. And then the only reason people say like, "Oh, yeah, it's a prequel," is because of how it ended.
no, but I'm saying
Right.
the original Thing, the John Carpenter.
That wasn't the original, right? That was actually a remake.
That was actually a remake,
Yeah, it was a remake. Yeah.
and it's amazing.
Yeah.
But I'm also like,
But we're not gonna go that far into.
I'm just
what's the
speculating,
original.
like, because I'm arguing like what were good ones, what are not, and why. You know what I mean? Like I liked Evil Dead because it could exist within the same universe of Evil Dead because of Necronomicon, being like multiverses almost,
Yeah.
multiversal, I guess. But then Dawn of the Dead. I remember I watched a little bit of the original because it's hard to find, right?
Yeah.
It's like super hard to come across. So I've never actually, I think I've seen bits and pieces. So what made that one superior by comparison? Was it shot for shot?
No, it wasn't shot for shot. Like, it was the same concept. Like, it's like people surviving a zombie apocalypse in a mall.
Yeah. Okay. No,
it's the same, like, different. Well, there was a couple
so was it
characters that
good?
were kind of the same. You know? Yeah, it was great.
By comparison, the whole was the whole baby thing, like baby zombie thing, completely different.
That was not. Yeah, that was.
But was that bad? Was that good? Because
that was bad.
Because they subverted expectations.
I mean,
because they tried
to do
something different.
It was shocking.
It was shocking. Like, you wouldn't expect it.
I was shocked. I was
like if you're in a submarine and the submarine gets bit by a zombie, are you going to become a zombie because you were in the submarine?
Yeah, like,
because that's kind of what happened with the baby.
It was so, like, as a kid, it shocked me. I saw it recently. I'm like, that's really goofy. Like, I'm like, okay, that's really goofy. Especially since the baby was like.
But you admire them for going for it, though. Do you admire?
Yeah, no, I admire them.
I would say that was a negative.
No, I'm saying
I admire them
plus
for
the
like
shootout that took place after.
Okay, that was kind of
that was,
but there's a lot of cheesy moments in that movie. That's besides what we're just lightly touching on remakes here.
You're talking about like adding more.
I'm saying what makes it good. What makes it worth like so. Damn, that's a good remake.
If there's a movie that came out,
and we'll talk about this more on other episodes too.
Remake of that movie. What makes that remake better than the original?
Better than the original one. I guess improving on the concept of it. So like, let's say the original thing.
I would say no to that because, like I said, because you're saying improving on the concept. That's what they did with the remake of Hellraiser, and they just added more rules, and it just made it kind of slow down for me.
Well, the thing is that it's like, I would say improve on the original one's ideas. Like this one, it started creating its own ideas. You know what I mean? For example, like with the thing, the original one, it was like this alien monster thing. It's just one thing, you know, like trying to like kill a bunch of people. In the new in the 80s remake, like the thing was like this alien that it was just like this bacterial thing that just, you know, travels through people to people to people, and it's like, so you never really know who's the alien, you know?
Like a crazy
so
parasite.
that was like a that was a change. It's like, okay, so it's like the thing is actual people, but you don't know who's who, so it's like it changes the whole game all of a sudden. You know what I mean?
So I'm gonna throw this out here, monkey wrench, freaking atomic bomb on you guys. What about Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake versus the originals?
No, because
I'm saying, what about it?
It felt well. That one.
No.
No. I mean, it was okay, but that one did feel like a shot for shot.
Yeah,
it
no,
felt
that's
like a shot for shot with almost works acting. It's been a while. I think the only
like,
time
how do you
I saw
remember
the remake
it?
was when it came out in theaters. I think some of the effects they did were really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had a bigger budget.
But like specifically, I remember Jay Denise from Dead Meat specifically bringing up the shot where he sticks his, like in the original of Nightmare on Elm, he sticks his face through like latex,
latex,
compared to the CGI version. He's like, how could you say that looks better? Like the CGI looks so much crappier by comparison.
Right, like it
but
throws
if they
you
made
off.
But if they made that today, that would look a lot better.
Maybe.
What was that? 2009. The remake.
No, it doesn't
2011,
matter because I feel like it was way too animated. Like, because it's like in the original one, like
you're talking about Freddy Krueger being too animated.
No, that scene, because in the original one, like the hands kind of like slowly.
He almost looks like Terminator 2, like kind of swooping on the sides.
So in the original one, like,
but I don't know, like
his hands like come out into the wall. You see the handprints, and then like they kind of like slowly start coming down. And they move away slowly. In the remake, it's like, I don't know if you guys ever seen The Frighteners with Michael J. Fox. No. So I always, it makes me laugh because their death, you know, the death in that movie, like he's all CGI and he moves like all fast, like this like CGI character,
like Slurp,
and that's like Flubber, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's Flubber's like
that's
super
what I imagined.
animated, super bouncing. That's what that scene felt like. It was like this thing that just kind of like moves super fast, and it's like, oh wow, that's jarring. Like it's obviously CGI, and that's not scary. It's not threatening. Like it's just kind of goofy. You know?
So going forward, hopefully we have everything up. But I would love to hear, see comments and give us some more references. Maybe something you want us to yell at each other about. Because I remember I convinced myself that I didn't like the remake of Nightmare on Elm, and then I rewatched it with my buddy the other day, and I was like, that's better than I remember. I was like, I gave it a lot of crap beforehand. So, yeah, that's it. I mean, do you guys want to add anything else? But that's pretty much, I think we're good tonight.
I got one question before we wrap this up. Did I convince you guys a little bit at all that the remake wasn't very good? Or are you guys still firm on your?
No, I stick to my side.
I stick to my side. Like I feel like it's
I
good.
see your critiques, but I don't consider them critiques.
It's a
You know
solid.
what I mean?
It's a solid like installment in the Hellraiser like franchise.
Like if you're gonna go for a remake, I could see what they decided to do and
dude,
why they did it.
You haven't seen the other like 8 movies that Hellraiser did. So when
Wait,
this
what?
new one came out, you're like, oh my god, it's finally like a decent movie.
I didn't see the last like 5.
I didn't see the last 7.
Yeah.
But I know that I guess
the
that
last
would
9. I guess.
I guess it would have been a breath of fresh air. But more for me, I specifically made myself like retract all my previous biases and be like, okay, let me experience it. And yeah, I see your critiques, but I don't think the character being unlikable is a problem.
It's not perfect. It's definitely not perfect.
The practical, like I said, I can argue about the dimensions, but also these are supposed to be some kind of superior beings. I definitely agree with it being more scary that they are literally a force of nature versus something that you kind of have to like contract with. You know what I mean? I get all that, but I still stand by mine. A 7 out of 10, and then I'm gonna put the original at 8 out of 10.
And I definitely stand by mine too, because it's like I've seen all the other Hellraisers, and it's like, man, this is dog shit, you know.
I'm really glad you liked the original though. At the very least, you got that. We got
of course. Like I at least like it's like okay, like at least he knows which one of these movies is good.
Which one he prefers over the other? Because I would rather you not have. If you would watch the remake and we're like, I don't want to watch the original because that was so like rough.
I'm like, no, dude, you have no idea. Like, you gotta get another point of view from this.
But I also didn't want to make you watch the original and be like, now watch the remake. Like, it's like, no, experience it yourself. Everyone in our audience should experience things for themselves. Yell at us, argue us, whatever. But I'd rather you have your own opinion than just kind of follow ours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get you.
But if you agree with me, then yeah, you're right, and you're the best person.
And if you don't agree with them, well, you're wrong. And
you're wrong. You're allowed to have your own opinion.
But we're gonna be talking about more remakes versus the original one in the near future.
Can we think of any off the top of our heads that might be some interesting ones?
Evil Dead.
Give some
the new Evil Dead's coming out.
We can do the Evil Dead to get ready
Sorry,
for the movie.
I'm stupid.
We will be going to go see that in theaters when it comes out.
I'm not excited.
There's so many remakes versus the original one. So I mean, we just gotta brainstorm right now.
We got content for days.
So
Come back for more. This has been Midnight Mayhem. Thanks for listening.
Appreciate your souls.
Love you guys.
Bye.